of our Outlive T-shirt, and we're doing something different this Wednesday. We're actually going to be on sale up in Huntsville, and so it's an opportunity to sell thousands of these T-shirts, to be a reminder to everyone, men and women, to go get your cancer screenings, to get your blood work, to get your mammograms, to get your colonoscopies, your prostate examined, because you will outlive your cancer if you detect it early. And if you don't, it gets more difficult. And then every dime that we make from the sale of these T-shirts goes to a family, somebody in Tennessee that's battling cancer, who can't afford a copay or the kind of medicine the doctor recommends to beat their cancer, or has to miss work because they're too sick after their chemo, but can't afford to really miss work because they can't make a mortgage payment. The money goes to people, doesn't go to research. And so who wouldn't give somebody that they know, let's say $15 if that's what we can make profit on this T-shirt, just to help them pay for their medicine? All of us would. So everybody, please buy your Outlive T-shirts, both on Wednesday in Huntsville, and then of course on Sunday when we host USC.
You said Tennessee, but you meant
What's that?
You meant Alabama, right? When you were talking just now, you said it goes to help people in Tennessee.
Did I say Tennessee?
I think so, but you,
Yeah, no, you'll have to edit that. You'll have to edit. I was
clarifying.
I was in Tennessee last night for a funeral, yesterday for a funeral, for Mike Hamilton's funeral, and I think that reminds me to tell a story if you don't mind. So Mike Hamilton hired me at Tennessee. He was 41 years old, fairly new athletic director at Tennessee at the time, and there were a few things that connected us. One was Ernie Grunfeld. Ernie Grunfeld was the general manager of the Milwaukee Bucks. I was coaching the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Our kids, Jackie and Danny, became friends. Ernie's son. I later coached Danny in the Maccabi games in 2009 when we won the gold medal. So we became family friends. Ernie was a legend at Tennessee, obviously, the Ernie and Bernie show. And they had called Ernie Grunfeld years before when the job was open, and he had made a recommendation about a young coach from Wagner University. This was before I was going to take the job. And Tennessee didn't take his advice. That young coach was Jay Wright.
Wow.
And so when Tennessee called Ernie Grunfeld this time about the job when it opened, and I was in Milwaukee, he said, "That's okay, don't worry about it." And we said, "What do you mean don't worry about it?" And he went and told the story again. "Don't call me if you don't want to really, whatever." So I said, "Well, we care what you think." He said, "You should hire Bruce Pearl." Who's Bruce Pearl? He's the coach at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And then Mike looked into it. John Curry, who's now the athletic director at Wake Forest, was Mike's right-hand man, and they looked into it. Obviously, they hired me in Tennessee. We became great friends. We did great things together, renovating Thompson Bowling Arena, getting the curtains down, and building those suites. And we built the Pratt Pavilion, the new practice facility at Tennessee, all in just a very short 6 years' time. Obviously, we made the tournament 6 years in a row. And one of the hardest things Mike did was fire me. I don't think Tennessee should have fired me. I think we could have got through it, but they chose differently. And unfortunately, a few months after that, Mike Hamilton resigned. Probably was forced to resign. So it didn't end well for either one of us at Tennessee. But Mike and I stayed connected, and I always felt badly, very badly, still do, that part of the mistakes that I made at Tennessee, and we made some mistakes, and we've always been apologetic and accountable for those mistakes, was part of the reason why he failed. And so always felt badly about that. Fast forward 3 years, 2.5 years or so, and the Auburn job opens. And Mike Hamilton is good friends with Jay Jacobs. And Mike Hamilton actually was one of the first ones to ever call me. He said, if the Auburn job opened, would you be interested? And that one came out of nowhere. Just sort of long story short, it was Mike Hamilton who put Jay Jacobs and I together when the job did open up. And so I just wanted to tell that story because I thought, unfortunately, Mike passed, died of cancer, was not able to outlive his cancer. And it was a tremendous celebration of his life the last couple of days, and I was able to go up to the funeral yesterday for a short period of time. So I had Tennessee on my mind, and we're talking about outlive. You know, you talk about taking a show on the road. You know, I can't believe we've only played 8 games. It feels like we've played 18 games already. And part of it is because we've only played, what, have we played 3 home games? Something like that. And now we're gonna go play our 9th game of the year, right? And another one not in the friendly confines of Devil Arena. But that's part of our developing this program is traveling. And so you've heard me say many times that I am so grateful to be Auburn's coach, because Auburn has given me the opportunity of a lifetime to put me in position to be able to play the very best in college basketball. Having coached for 9 years in Southern Indiana, knowing how important Indiana basketball is, having been at Iowa for 6 years as an assistant to Dr. Tom Davis, it was a thrill for me to coach against IU. But the thing that I was as proud of as anything is the way Auburn basketball looked on and off the court. On the court, we played very pretty basketball, where we shot it, the way we shared it, the way we defended. Off the court, we looked like we belonged. Nobody travels more than IU and UK. And Saturday afternoon in Atlanta, in an NBA facility, Indiana basketball fans got to see just how much Auburn basketball matters. And again, I'm grateful to the Auburn family for showing up. We're going up to Huntsville tomorrow, and that building is already sold out. It was sold out within, like, I think, a week of when the tickets went on sale. That's just the way family is. And so you understand the responsibility that I feel to try to have our team be competitive. It's just because I'm so appreciative and grateful for the support that we get. I know all the coaches at Auburn feel that way. We just do. And so, you know, that said, this is a trap game. Kind of feels a lot like the Appy State game. Having just beaten a really good Virginia Tech team. Then we go to App State, and the next one's Indiana. All right, we just beat a really good Indiana team. We go play Asheville and Huntsville. We've got Southern Cal coming in Sunday. And so we've talked to the team about it. We lost at App State not because we weren't prepared, not because we weren't ready at all. We got outplayed, and those guards made some big shots. And so, but again, we got better. We did get better. And we learned from some of the things that we didn't do, and hopefully just will continue to learn and get better. Asheville won their league last year. They won their league. They're picked to win the league again this year. They're not as good as they were a year ago, you know, but obviously, you know, they know how to win, and they played a pretty tough schedule. And they got a kid that might be a pro in Pembroke. He was a Big South Player of the Year. Young man from Tennessee, actually went to the same high school as my daughter Lee up here in high school in Knoxville. So we know him. He's very skilled offensively, and so good player, great environment. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay. You touched a bit on this, but just kind of on the crowd in Atlanta, on this sold-out game in Huntsville, how have you seen kind of since when you started coaching at Auburn to where it is now, just seeing just the change in kind of interest level in Alabama in basketball to get to this point where you can sell out a game in Huntsville for the first time playing in 20 years?
Well, we started playing in Birmingham. You know, we started going up to play at what was the BJCC, right? Is that right? And then now it's Legacy Arena. And we did that with a purpose, and we actually had great crowds. You want to know the history of it? The history of the chicken and the egg? The history is Auburn family turned out before we were any good. We were no good, and they came. Just a fact. And so we continue to go to Birmingham, and then our trips to Atlanta have a lot to do with recruiting Atlanta, but also have a lot to do with a huge, Birmingham's the number one city Atlanta's the second city in the country as far as the most students are coming to Auburn. There's a huge alumni there, and it's great. And they you get to bring the campus to them. And the same thing in Huntsville. We've got unbelievable fan base in Huntsville. Huntsville's the one part of the state which you get a feel like it's more 50-50 when it comes to Auburn and Alabama and Huntsville than you do almost anywhere else, because with the exception of maybe down in LA, in lower Alabama here, where Auburn has got a little bit more than Alabama. Everywhere else is Roll Tide. Up there, we got a fighting chance in Huntsville. So I've been trying to get there to reward our fan base up there, and I hope we play well enough to reward them.
Rich, you talked on Saturday about Denver getting his confidence back and that stretch he had, especially in the first half. Just what did you kind of see from him in that game that kind of got him going like that? And how big is it, for a guy like him to get going for your offense?
Yeah, well, Denver's confidence after the Appalachian State game was definitely shaken. It was down. You could see it in his body language. You could see it in his face. You could see it in his game. And you could see it in his shot. And so, one thing we're open about it. We talk about it. Now, I said, look, he's a hard worker. He's a great scorer. He wasn't, he had a lot more to give, has a lot more to give. So we talked about that. But ultimately I said, look, nobody is going to be able to give you the confidence you need to perform more than you. You got to figure this out. And I think part of it is, his entire career, he's always been at places where he's been overlooked. Let me prove it to you. Now he's finally at a place where he belongs, and we believe in him. Not that they didn't believe in him before, but now he's here. Now he's got to reward the people that believe in him. And he felt that extra pressure, like I'm letting the team down. He was letting that pressure bother him, and he worked his way through that. And so I'm very pleased, and he's hopefully that hopefully that continues. But if you look at again, go back and look at Saturday, it's the best we played, and it's the best we might play in this sense. We got unbelievable play from Trey and Aiden. They didn't have a turnover. They shot it brilliantly. They threw the ball ahead in a fast break. They played really good defense. It's by far the best play. We got the two position with KD and Denver together both played great. Those four guards played great. Now, how much of it was the opposition? Indiana's strength is their front court, not their back court. And so our back court was able to dominate the game, which was great. We got good play at the 3 spot. Chad Baker had great play at times. Jalen Williams had one of the best games of his career. That's what it took to beat Indiana by 28. It took like 6 or 7 guys having some of the best nights. I even got a question. As for you guys are there, somebody, I don't know who he was but it was at the Indiana press conference, right? And I thought about Coach Knight. He's like, Coach, you guys all played really, really well. How are you going to get the guys to do that way every night? I looked at him and I was like, man, it's a good thing for you, like I'm not Bob Knight, okay? Because he would wear you out right now with that question. Dude, if we knew how to do that, we'd do it every night, okay? We don't. There's not magic formula. So, but look, it's nice to see. And then the other thing too, I thought that was very good about was the kids were having fun. They were playing the game, having fun. There was a lot of joy in the game. There was passion. I thought they were sportsmanlike. We had fun with some of our social media stuff. I thought some of the stuff that Steve Leonard did was on the edge, but it really was respectful of Indiana basketball, the history of Indiana basketball. You know, it was like we've not done that for anybody else. You know, and by the way, just so you understand, our social media guy, Steve Leonard, he's a Hoosier fan. He's a Hoosier. His dad is a big-time Indiana fan. And so his dad, I don't think, was thrilled with what he did. But, so anyways, it's good to be rewarded and have some fun. But you know what, the only way you're having fun is if you're winning.
Bruce, you look at the assist numbers for you guys, I think you're second nationally in assist rate so far. I think it's probably the best numbers you've had since you've been here. Obviously, you've changed up the offense and schemes and stuff, but what do you how much is the scheme? How much is it guys buying into being selfless? Just sort of what goes into what you've seen so far?
And I think all those things, the guys being unselfish, obviously the work ethic, as I said from the beginning, this has been one of the hardest working teams I've had. So the guys are in the gym, shooting, and we're making open shots. And there's a mixture, there's the importance of Aiden and Trey, Denver and KD, Chad Baker, and then Janai and Jalen. You haven't seen it yet out of Cheney to get to the rim, as well as make shots. That ability is kind of important. But I think the other thing too would be just look. I think my coach has done a great job, and the guys that whether it be Jeff Gray or Brian Smith that are in there every day, all day as grad assistants, rebounding and working with the guys individually. To Ira Bowman, who sort of runs our player development kind of things, along with Marquise Daniels, to the job the coaches have done in their scouting. Stephen Pearl had Notre Dame. Mike Burgomaster had Virginia Tech and St. Bonaventure. Chad Pruitt, Corey Williams had Indiana and did a phenomenal job. And then Mike Burgomaster is my offensive coordinator. He and I have been together now, I don't know how many years, 5, 6, maybe 7 years, I don't know. But Mike came as a graduate assistant, and he's just got a great offensive mind. So he and I work together developing the game plans with the scouts, and you put that all together, and I think that's kind of where we're at. When we play better defensive teams, we won't shoot as well. Indiana was a solid half-court defensive team.
Coach, you've been a part of a lot of programs and coached a lot of games. How do games like Saturday help you continue to fall in love with college basketball?
You just first of all, you get butterflies like before, like the first game I've ever coached. You get butterflies, and sometimes that's tension and stress and anxiety and all that stuff. Call them butterflies. Why would you call butterflies such a beautiful thing? And stress and anxiety and pressure and how that became a butterfly, I don't know, but somebody turned that around nicely. And then when things are going, like it was kind of like a little bit during our NCAA tournament run, when you're just 112 straight, and man, things are just everything you're doing is working. You don't have those games very often. And then being in an NBA building, playing against that storied opponent, you just thank God. You just thank God for the blessings. Go, really, God, what have I done to deserve being in this? Because it really does matter. So that's kind of it. But I also understand that I want to be a coach of a team that beats the people they're supposed to beat, and have a chance to beat the people we're not supposed to beat. And so we don't often, we haven't had many upsets, if you will, in my career. It'd be interesting to look at in the last 7 or 8 years how many times we've been upset. It happened last weekend. So we got to do what we got to do to make sure it doesn't happen tomorrow.
Last question for
I wanted to ask you about Pember and just this UNC Asheville team. A guy who his numbers are really, really good. Does some of everything really well. Just
Yep.
the challenges of facing him, and like you said, the talent that he brings for
Yep.
a guy from a school like UNC Asheville.
Yep, man. He's a handful. He can shoot the three ball. He can score with his back to the basket. He's a good passer. He can put the ball on the floor. He protects the rim. Knows how to play. I'm hoping and thinking that between Janai and Dylan and Jalen and Cheney, those four guys will be excited about the challenge. Our team will be excited about the challenge of with him. I tell you, the other guy I just want to mention that I've been really, really impressed with for them is the guard that transferred from the Citadel, number 5, Abby Fletcher.
Yeah.
Been really impressed with him also. Great shooter, really good player. I remember even looking at him when we were doing the transfer portal. Really liked him a lot, and he's gotten better, and so he's a factor. Those two guys can, really. They've got some other pieces as well, and obviously, I think they brought back most of the team from a year ago that went to the tournament. So, good club.
thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,